Listen carefully. I am speaking directly to you, not to the crowd, not by coincidence, not by chance. This is not background noise. This is not a message you stumbled upon. You are here because something is shifting. Right now you are standing at the edge of a moment that will define what happens next in your life. A moment where listening matters. A moment where hesitation costs more than you realize. I see you. I see the weight you've been carrying quietly. The decisions you've made without applause. The tears you wiped away before anyone noticed. And I need you to understand something clearly before anything else moves forward. What is coming next is not automatic. It requires awareness. It requires obedience. It requires you to stop scrolling past what your spirit already recognized as important. Because the greatest blessings I give do not arrive loudly. They arrive when you choose to listen. Many miss them because they assume they will come later, or look different, or arrive when life finally slows down. But this moment is now. I've spoken before, not always with words, but through nudges, interruptions, delays, and redirections. And each time you felt it, that quiet knowing in your chest, that pause you couldn't explain. You weren't imagining it. Ignoring that voice hardens the heart. And when the heart hardens, clarity fades. Look back. Adam and Eve didn't lose everything because of a lack of opportunity. They lost it because they listened to the wrong voice. The Israelites didn't wander because I abandoned them. They wandered because they stopped trusting direction. Saul didn't lose his kingdom because he lacked power. He lost it because partial obedience replaced full trust. These aren't stories of the past. They are mirrors. And today I'm placing one in front of you. You've asked me quietly, sometimes desperately, when will things change? When will the pressure lift? When will the waiting end? And I'm answering you now. The waiting season is over, but the listening season is not. Because blessing does not flow where resistance remains. I know your doubts. I know the thoughts that tell you you're asking for too much, or that you waited too long, or that maybe this message isn't really meant for you. But hear me clearly. I do not prepare blessings randomly. I prepare people. And you were being prepared long before you realized it. That exhaustion you felt wasn't weakness. It was refinement. That silence you endured wasn't abandonment. It was alignment. You were being shaped quietly, while others were being distracted loudly. I watched you cry alone. I watched you give when it cost you. I watched you stay when leaving would have been easier. And every moment you thought went unnoticed was recorded. Here is something many never understand. When I decide a matter in your favor, resistance often increases, not decreases. Confusion intensifies. Doubt grows louder. Fatigue sets in. Not because you're losing, but because the outcome has already been decided. The enemy is not afraid of your past. He's afraid of what happens next when you finally trust me more than your emotions. That's why confusion has been his favorite weapon, not destruction. Confusion. If he can make you doubt what you already felt in your spirit, he can delay what is inevitable. But hear this, I never said no to you. I said not yet. I wasn't withholding. I was widening your capacity. You asked for relief. I prepared strength. You asked for peace. I built endurance. You asked for answers. I developed trust. And now, you are standing at the door that once felt sealed shut. The door is open, but it will not chase you. You must step forward. Faith is not waiting until fear disappears. Faith is moving while fear still whispers. And you've already proven you can do that. You stayed when it hurt. You trusted when nothing made sense. You whispered prayers instead of quitting. That persistence spoke louder than any shout. You were being watched in rooms you thought were empty. Protected in moments you thought were breaking you. Sustained when your strength should have failed. That's why things are changing now. What once drained you will soon fuel you. What once wounded you will now confirm you. What once delayed you will redirect others. But listen carefully. Do not let fatigue steal what faith unlocked. Do not let distraction pull you back now. Many turn away at the final step. not because they don't believe, but because they're tired of believing. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Constant endurance is not always faith. Sometimes it's survival mode. Even Elijah, one of the greatest prophets in the Bible, reached a moment where he collapsed under the weight of expectation. After calling down fire from heaven, after public victory, after proof that God was with him, Elijah ran into the wilderness and asked God to let him die. Not because he was weak, but because he was depleted. And God didn't rebuke him. God didn't shame him. God let him sleep, fed him, and spoke to him softly. That tells us something important. God does not measure you by how much pain you can endure. You've been interpreting resistance as failure. But what if resistance is simply evidence that you're moving towards something that matters? Psychologically, the human mind resists growth before it embraces it. The brain is wired to protect familiarity, even when familiarity is painful. That's why people often retreat right before breakthrough, not because the path is wrong, but because the identity shift is uncomfortable. You're not afraid of failure. You're afraid of becoming someone new. That's why this season has felt so heavy, because you're shedding an old version of yourself. And shedding hurts. There's a reason biblical figures were often isolated before elevation. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading anyone. Joseph was imprisoned before he was positioned. David was anointed king and then sent back to obscurity. God often separates before he elevates. Not to punish, but to prepare. Because intimacy with God is rarely built in crowds. It's built in silence, in waiting, in moments where you realize you can't do this alone. And that's where you are right now. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. You've been asking God to remove the weight, but what if the weight is what's strengthening your discernment? You're learning what drains you, who drains you, which voices confuse you, which habits numb you, and slowly, quietly, you've been changing. You don't tolerate what you used to, you don't chase what you once begged for. You don't find comfort in distractions anymore. That's not burnout, that's awakening. Jesus himself withdrew often. Not because he was overwhelmed, but because clarity requires distance. Scripture says he would leave crowds to pray alone. Even miracles didn't distract him from rest. Think about that. If the Son of God needed solitude, why do you think you're failing for needing it too? You're not falling behind. You're being recalibrated. Here's the twist no one tells you. Sometimes the reason life feels quiet is because God is waiting for you to stop performing and start listening. You've been asking for signs while ignoring the stillness, asking for direction while drowning out conviction, asking for peace while staying in environments that steal it. And God is gentle, but he is precise. He will not shout over your distractions forever. This season is asking something of you, not more effort, not more hustle, but honesty. Honesty about what you're afraid to let go of. Honesty about what you've outgrown. Honesty about who you're becoming, because the next chapter of your life will not be sustained by who you were. You may not feel strong right now. You may not feel confident. You may feel uncertain, tired, even disconnected. But listen carefully. Faith is not the absence of doubt. It's movement despite it. And you are still moving. Even watching this is movement. In psychology, there's a concept called liminal space, the uncomfortable in-between, where the old identity no longer fits, but the new one hasn't fully formed yet. People often feel lost there, disoriented, anxious. Spiritually, this is the wilderness, and biblically, the wilderness is never wasted. It's where dependence replaces pride, where clarity replaces noise, where calling becomes conviction. So if you're tired, rest without guilt. If you're confused, wait without panic. If you're hurting, feel it without shame. God is not disappointed in you. He's close to you, closer than you think. One day, you'll look back on this season and realize it wasn't breaking you. It was stripping away what couldn't go with you, and you'll understand why you had to slow down, why you had to be alone, why you had to feel this deeply. Because depth produces wisdom, and wisdom sustains purpose. You don't need to have everything figured out tonight. Just don't abandon yourself in the process. Stay open, stay grounded, stay honest. God knows you're tired, and that's exactly why you're still standing.